for coming up on 6 years. And I still come down twice a week and do a live television show here every Tuesday night from 8 to 9, right here on Channel 10, and then back on Thursdays from 7 to 8, right here on Cable Channel 10. And again, I want to thank you for joining us. The websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We've been adding video reports each week to the site. We've been writing our own news reports, our own analysis on a weekly basis. We also post mainstream and alternative news, streaming audio, video, legislation, different pieces of legislation around the world. We track the criminal activities of the global elite. And again, the website is Infowars.com. Then, of course, there's PrisonPlanet.com. If you want a massive education on what the New World Order is up to and how they're operating and how they're setting up the architecture of tyranny and despotism and enslavement, in the audio section of PrisonPlanet.com, we have hundreds of interviews. Hundreds. Charlton Heston, G. Gordon Liddy, German defense minister, British technology ministers, members of Congress, people who've been abused by the police, troops coming back from Iraq, scientists engaged in biotech engineering of the crops. I mean, just untold knowledge of what's really going on from experts around the world in that audio section, some of the best radio interviews I've done. The fact that with electronic voting, that the CIA really runs most of the big electronic voting machine companies, and it's been publicly shown to be a complete fraud. That's there. We also have text archives. We have 2 concentration camp archives with hundreds of articles, all mainstream, about the wonderful camps for you and your family. We have archives about the elite and their occult activities. But again, all these mainstream articles that show up here, show up there, but never get put together. We bring it all together. There's just so much there. We've done so much work. My webmaster here in the United States for Infowars.com, my webmaster in Britain for PrisonPlanet.com, and we now have PrisonPlanet.tv that's up, and it's going to have a new look and a lot of other information on it. There's JonesReport.com, Infowars.net, VirginUtah.com. Those are just some of our websites. Interesting little editorial cartoon that we posted on Prison Planet yesterday. It's still up there on the main page today. Skull and Bones. You've got your 2 candidates there. There's John Forbes Kerry with the donkey and George W. Bush with the elephant, and that's your choice. And then, of course, Ralph Nader's campaign manager from the 2000 election, he was not just Skull and Bones, but George Bush's classmate. George Bush's classmate. By the way, I'm going to be out in Crawford, Texas this Saturday. There's several groups organizing the demonstration and the speeches, and I've been asked to give the speech after Ralph Nader. And I support a lot of what Ralph Nader has to say. I don't support a lot of his ideas because big government isn't the answer to stop the corporations. Big government is controlled by the big corporations, but I'll be giving a speech about Bush's corruption and the government-sponsored terrorism and PNAC and how they carried out 9/11 out in Crawford. I think I'm speaking at about 6 o'clock at night there. They got a stage and stuff set up in downtown Crawford. There are going to be thousands of people there. And then on Sunday, down at the UT Lecture Hall, I should have brought this with me. I forget the name of it. The Libertarian Distinguished Speaker Series. I'm honored to be invited to it. I'm going to be the key speaker at that this Sunday. Perhaps, Mike, you can go to lpaustin.org, whatever the libertarian site is. Perhaps before I get off this show, we can find out which lecture hall it is. They've had Harry Brown, everybody else come in and give speeches, because I've seen it here on Access. They re-air it, and I'm really honored to be able to be part of that. So that's some of the stuff that's coming up and going on. I'm sitting here looking at all this news, and I'm trying to think to myself, where should I start? Did you see that piece I played at the start of the show? I haven't been to SeaWorld in 20 years, since I was 10 years old, or 11 years old. My parents took me to SeaWorld in Orlando, and I know it's nothing but an aquatic zoo, and the animals aren't in very good conditions, but I thought, well, I'll take off some of the work I had to do this Saturday, and I'll just forget about the New World Order and the global tyranny and the cashless society tracking and taxation surveillance grid. I'll take my wife to SeaWorld. And we get to SeaWorld, and I walk up, and they've got it set up where a season pass isn't much more than a day pass. And they said, now just go over to the, quote, passport office after they sold me, with my name and the scan on it. So I went over there, and they had all these cameras in there. And I said, we're going to take my picture. And they said, oh, we don't do that anymore. And I said, okay, wow, that's Big Brother in reverse, less surveillance. Okay. And I go back to the turnstiles, and she goes, okay, now scan your hand. And right there was the hand scanner, biometric scanner. And I said, no way. She said, a lot of people have been saying that. We just opened 2 weeks ago. It's our new season. They just put these in. A lot of people don't like them, about 1 out of 10. You don't have to do it. Now, the video you saw is when I came back later, because I was shocked, had the video camera in the backpack. I didn't think to pull it out then. I was just, here's the scanner, here's the biometrics, in my face. And then we went in and saw some of the exhibits, and then I went back as we left and interviewed some of them, and that's the video that we just aired earlier. We'll air that at the end of the show for those that weren't tuned in at the very first, about a little 7.5 minute piece. But while I was talking to the people when I first got there, I was like, this is Big Brother. It's to start taxing you. It's going in the grocery stores. It's going in the schools. And the ladies, yeah, I've seen it on the news. Yeah, that's scary. And the security guards are nodding. Yeah, it's scary. Because they're hearing a lot of people say that. So, see, it's not crazy that I think that. See, it's all this peer pressure, system. And I went through it, and she said, okay, well, you don't have to. And I asked her, they were going to make people do it, but because of the pressure, they're like, okay, you don't have to. If you refuse, okay, you don't have to. And they just let you on through. They've taken the photo ID, the little digital picture, off of it. And again, that means they can get rid of the employees in the future. But more importantly, it's about the federal government tracking every purchase we make, everything we do, building detailed psychological profiles, algorithms off of our activities. And that's what the Defense Department and the Justice Department have said. Again, none of this is my opinion. So I can't even go to SeaWorld. I mean, I haven't been to an amusement park in probably 15 years. Hadn't been to SeaWorld in 20. Been there once in Orlando when, again, I was a child and an adolescent. And I really wanted to forget about the New World Order. We listened to music driving down there, and just ignored all the cameras going up, and just tried to get some R&R from the war, and there it is. And Piggly Wiggly, Safeway, Kroger, putting in the scanners. First they put in the self-checkouts, then they get you used to it. Then they pull out most of the service checkouts with a person, make you do it, then the thumb scanners go in. And when you complain, we wrote an email to the office of Piggly Wiggly, big chain. It's not here in Texas, but it's big around the country, Midwest. And we got an email back from the CEO's office saying, Mr. Jones, it was actually Watson, my webmaster sent it, Mr. Watson, we do not take a digital thumbprint. It is zeros and ones. That's what Biometric Access in the CBS piece here locally a year ago said. Oh, we thumb scan you, but it's not hooked to a database, and it's not your thumbprint. It's a computer. It's numbers. Well, a digital photo you take of your dog or your child is zeros and ones, and then it's reassembled instantly to have an image of your finger. It's just total lawyer speak. So technically,